This woman got killed by a random stranger over a minor dispute. The woman's innocent child was seeing his mother getting murdered, but he couldn't do anything to protect her. The man Sung-soo was arrested and ultimately went through the trial. It turned out that he had a history of being punished for crimes of similar manner in the past. However, considering the fact that there was no intention to kill, and the fact that Sung-soo tried his best to settle with the victim's family and he is being treated for mental illness, the judge sentenced him 3.5 years in prison. Hearing the unfair ruling, the kid, Ji-young, cannot help but shed tears with anger burning in his heart. Before Sung-soo was taken out of the court, he verbally harassed Ji-young, scaring him. Fast forward to 12 years, Sung-soo is still hurting people for no reason. He attacks a bus driver only because the driver called the cops on him for creating trouble often. Sung-soo doesn't stop after a punch or two, and keeps hurting the bus driver until he is badly injured. As he continues to threaten the other passengers, he notices a person standing outside the bus. Brushing it away, he makes his way home, only to be stopped by that mysterious man. The man launches a punch at Sung-soo, and when Sung-soo tries to retaliate, he subdues his attack. Wearing a brass knuckle, the mysterious man begins punching Sung-soo in the face until he dies. This man is none other than Ji-young, who lost his mother because of Sung-soo 12 years ago. He is becoming a police officer and spends most of his time in the police academy. With impressive judo skills, he catches the eye of his instructor, Jun-yob, who believes Ji-young is ready for fieldwork. By day, Ji-young is a focused police officer, but by night, he transforms into a vigilante, seeking out criminals who slip through legal cracks. One night, he witnesses 2 men menacingly urinating on someone's window, intimidating the resident. Ji-young steps in, swiftly incapacitating the offenders, and making a quick exit, leaving the shocked woman behind. That night, he reads another news about a doctor who is still seeing patients despite sexually assaulting the victims and filming them. He was given a 6-month sentence, and he wasn't even stripped of his license. Realizing the flaws of the law in this case, Ji-young takes the matter into his own hands. As the doctor is about to assault another of his patients, Ji-young storms into the operation theater and punches him really hard. As the doctor falls on the floor, Ji-young warns him to quit being a doctor and find another job. If he doesn't follow Ji-young's instructions, he will be responsible for the consequences. On the other hand, we see a journalist, Mi Ryo, having a meeting with her boss, Chon Yun. She shows him the collection of violent crimes in which the victims are predators who have all been released. Because of the absurd court ruling, those cases were all covered in the news, and she believes it has evoked outrage. She continues delivering her point, saying that because of loopholes in the law, predators are being released without being punished properly, and someone is making them pay for what they did. She believes that people want a dark hero like this person, and they must broadcast the show to get more ratings. The boss likes the idea, and soon the news is broadcast, telling people about a vigilante who helps the oppressed and punishes the perpetrators. The woman Ji-young had helped earlier gives an interview in which she thanks Ji-young for helping her and making her life easier. Ji-young, who is listening to the news in the police academy, feels a sense of satisfaction upon hearing the woman's gratitude towards the vigilante. Hiding his bruised hand, he opens up his phone and finds that people have already started writing articles in favor of Vigilante. On the other hand, the news company is happy as their show about Vigilante is a hit. Mi Ryo has understood the pattern and realizes that the incidents only take place on the weekends. So, she waits for another incident to occur so they can broadcast and gain more ratings. However, a week has passed, and Vigilante hasn't done anything yet concerning the boss. Mi Ryo advises exposing the preparator of the Seon case so that the vigilante reads the news and takes the bait. As decided, the news is broadcast in which the channel reveals the identity of the child sex offender, Harrowing. He committed a terrible crime against a student and was sentenced to only 7 years in prison, claiming temporary insanity. The news reporter informs the public that Harrowing has just been released from jail, and despite his heinous crime, he is happily living among them. Ji-young watches the news and realizes that he must do something. On the other hand, the news evokes public outrage, with people protesting outside Harrowing's house, demanding for him a death sentence or life imprisonment. Mi Ryo is also waiting outside Harrowing's house, happy that her plan is working. In order to get more information about Harrowing, Ji-young accesses the police computer which has the data on all the cases. He digs deep into the case files, ready to teach the preparator a lesson. At night, When Hurong gets out of his apartment, Mirai begins following him. However, she loses him at the port. Later, we see Hurong dressed as a delivery boy arriving at his victim's building. A police officer is standing outside her apartment to ensure her safety. Without wasting time, Hurong takes out a knife and attacks the police officer, who retaliates but fails to subdue the assailant. Hurong manages to stab the officer, but instead of backing away, the officer keeps fighting until Hurong throws acid at his face. Hearing the disturbance, the girl gets out of the apartment only to get caught by Hurong. Hitting him, she tries to escape, but Hurong catches her again. He intends to kill her as he believes that it is her fault that people are cussing him. He thinks that if he had killed her back then nothing of this would have been happening. Just as he's about to harm her, Ji-young intervenes, delivering a powerful blow that sends Hurong tumbling down the stairs. Despite Hurong's attempts to resist, he proves no match for Ji-young's judo prowess. Ji-young breaks his arms, lands punches on his face, and hurls him against a window, shattering it. In the face of defeat, Hurong pleads for mercy, prompting Ji-young to instruct him to write an apology on the wall. Meanwhile, Mirai is on her way to the girl's apartment when she runs into Ji-young, who has just finished his job. Soon after, Mirai arrives at the building and pretends to be one of the residents. She manages to head inside while the officer on duty is being rescued. As she arrives at the scene, she can't help but smile, seeing the message written on the wall with Hurong's blood. The message made it clear that the vigilant would catch the wicked in the end and make them pay for their crimes. The news spreads of Hurong's demise. Now, the people are sure that there is a vigilante. However, the police see him as a murderer. They believe that the vigilante didn't kill Hurong while helping the victim, but he intended to kill Hurong from the start. The chief of police instructs the head of the case, Officer Inchan, to stop the media from portraying Vigilante as a hero but rather a murderer. Officer Jun Yob, who is called to join the investigation, visits the incident site and realizes that the culprit, aka Vigilante, knows how the police investigate as he didn't leave any clue behind. Officer Inchan shares with him how people have been calling the police complaining about the investigation as they believe Vigilante did the right thing. Meanwhile, Mirai's news company is also getting criticism for making a criminal look interesting in the public's eyes. Chang Yun is frustrated, but Mirai makes him realize that they are doing nothing but improving the ratings of their channel. In fact, she has found 3 more cases to attract Vigilante again. The following day, it is on the news how a man named Duyip broke into the house of his ex-employer with runaway teens and brutally murdered the children and their mother. Duyip tried to blame it all on the young boy, Sung Yeol, who received a lenient punishment due to his age. That's how he got away with the crime. Ji-young watches the news and decides to dig deeper into the case. At night, he sneaks out of the room and carries out his research. Fully equipped with the necessary information, he opens Duyip's social media and finds the location of the club he frequently visits. There is a negative comment on his post in response to which Duyip threatened to kill the commenter. Realizing that Duyip is still living the life of a criminal, Ji-young visits the club with his friends. Luckily, he finds Duyip talking to the teenager, Sung Yeol. There he learns from a girl that Duyip is a drug dealer, allowing Ji-young to carry out more research on him. He learns that Duyip's drug trafficking business is in such a system that only the dealers can get caught and not the boss. The dealers carry out cash transactions, making it hard to catch them through online payments. One weekend, as Duyip leaves the club, Ji-young follows him to the place where he often sells the drugs to other dealers. When Duyip returns to his car, he finds a note having a number. It says, "Turn yourself in." As instructed, Song Yeol dials the number and learns it is a DEA agent's number. Duyip instructs him to lie low for a while, thinking that someone is actually trying to catch them. As he returns to the club, the police raid the place, causing Duyip to escape. In a desperate bid to avoid getting caught, he returns to his house only to see the door open. It turns out that Ji-young arrived before him and even stole his money. As he pours some petrol on the money, Deo-yip runs towards him, but Ji-young punches him really hard and instructs him to repent on his sins. Deo-yip laughs, showing no remorse for the murders he committed. Ji-young sets the money on fire, igniting a fight with Deo-yip. Deo-yip tries to use the shovel to attack Ji-young but ends up getting badly beaten instead. Ji-young strangles him with the chain and keeps punching him until he begs for mercy. He then shows Deo-yip the video of the family he murdered and instructs him to say sorry to the departed souls. The following day, the police arrive at the scene and find Deo-yip dead. Angered at these murders by the vigilante, the police promise the public to put an end to it. As this is an issue of heightened public attention, a special investigation headquarters is formed with the cooperation of all agencies and police personnel. Though the police are trying to create negativity for Vigilante, the public seems to like him. To solve the recent case, the team leader of the Regional Investigation Unit, Jo Hyun, meets Song Yeol and tries to scare him using his strength to bend the coin. He then takes the kid outside and asks him if he saw anyone suspicious around Yeep in the club. When Song Yeol doesn't cooperate with him, Jo Hyun punches him in the face and gives him a last warning before hanging him down from the railing. In a desperate bid to save his life, Seon Yeol then spits out how Yeep orders him to call a DEA before dying. Jo Hyun then pulls him up, after which he receives a call from his senior. Jo Hyun promises him to catch the vigilante at all costs. Because of the recent incidents, people have started copying Vigilante, taking the law into their own hands. Some teenagers set a criminal's car on fire before fatally harming him. A total of 18 incidents happened across the country, and the people responsible for them think that they have done the right thing. To stop the ongoing insanity, Jo Hyun is determined to catch the real vigilante fast. Song Yeol confessed to all his crimes, making it evident that people are now more afraid of the vigilante than the prison. Later that night, Ji-yeon finds another case in which a delivery man accidentally got hit by a truck driver. Instead of calling 911, the driver, Choi Gyu-ho, reruns the truck over him to end his life. Though he deliberately killed someone, he was sent to prison only for 1 year. After reading the public opinion on the guy, Ji-yeon decides to take the case, taking a photograph of the data. The following day, the delivery man's mother approaches Gyu-ho and grabs him by his collar, infuriated at his short sentence. Instead of apologizing, Gyu-ho yells at her, saying he is now innocent as he has received his punishment. Ji-yeon hears their conversation and realizes that Gyu-ho has no regrets at all. Later that night, as Gyu-ho is chilling in the bathhouse, he is approached by the vigilante, who submerges his head into the water and kills him without giving him a chance to repent. This vigilante is wearing a mask, revealing that he is fake as the real vigilante. Ji-yeon is in his neighborhood helping his old neighbor. Just then, he watches the TV and learns about Gyu-ho's demise, now being shown as one of Vigilante's murders. Jo Hyun arrives at the scene but finds no clue about the vigilante. Another news channel broadcasts the news, enraging Mireille, who has been planning to show the truck driver's case to draw Vigilante's attention. Not only this, the rival channel broadcasts another show, telling people about the newly released individuals convicted of heinous crimes. The fake vigilante takes the bait and kills each one of them without giving them the time to repent. Soon, this man sends a video message to a broadcasting station, addressing the people of Korea. In the video, he shares his empathy for the victims. Though he admits that vigilantism is a crime, he still declares that he won't stop his vigilante activities no matter what. Seeing the video, Ji-yeon is upset as Vigilante's reputation is being destroyed because of the fake vigilante. On the other hand, Jo Hyun believes that if the police fail to catch the vigilante, he will start to feel invincible, and because of the praise of the people, he will cross the line even further. Soon, the police find a vigilante, but Jo Hyun immediately recognizes that he is the fake one. When Officer Incheon asks how he knows this, Jo Hyun responds that the real vigilante won't make a coward face on getting caught. Later, Ji-yeon's neighbor is picking cardboard when a man named Sun-do yells at her for getting in his way. The old woman takes a moment to respond, and in that pause, Sun-do strikes her with his car, causing severe injuries. Witnessing this, the nearby store's shopkeeper intervenes, questioning Sun-do about his heartless actions. Instead of remorse, Sun-do retaliates, assaulting the shopkeeper. A scuffle ensues, with the shopkeeper gaining the upper hand. Shortly after, the police arrive and apprehend Sun-do for intentionally causing harm to the woman. The incident gains media attention, highlighting flaws in the legal system. The man who harmed the woman is now hospitalized, while the one who attempted to protect her is arrested for confronting the assailant. Watching the news, Ji-yeon becomes furious upon discovering that someone tried to kill the woman he cares about deeply. As night falls and others retire to sleep, Ji-yeon dives into his research. Meanwhile, Sandu's brother resorts to threatening the elderly woman, attempting to settle the case for money. He doesn't even care that the woman is bound to the bed. Under cover of night, Ji-yeon tails the brother to his turf, delivering a swift kick and then strangling him. On a parallel track, Mireille briefs her team on a new strategy involving the monitoring of the hospital to catch the vigilante in action. Simultaneously, Jo Hyun and his team arrive at the hospital where Sun-do is receiving treatment. Mireille positions her cameras, keeping a keen eye on the hospital proceedings. Just then, the cop on duty receives a call that someone has hit his car in the parking lot. It was just a diversion, allowing Ji-young to make his way to Sanda's room. While suffocating the culprit, Ji-young threatens him, ordering him to tell the judge that he deeply regrets his action and wants a maximum sentence. But if he doesn't do that, Ji-young warns him that he will come again and make sure he will suffer much more pain than the old lady. As the police catch wind of a false call to the on-duty officer, they swiftly head to Sanda's room. En route, Jo-hyun crosses paths with Ji-young, disguised in a doctor's coat. Discovering Sundu restrained on the bed, Jo-hyun promptly instructs his team to search for a man in his 20s donning a doctor's coat, suspecting him to be the elusive vigilante. Officer Incheon heads to the security room, only to find all CCTV cameras malfunctioning. Jo-hyun walks down the stairs and follows Ji-young, but our vigilante manages to get away before getting caught. Sundu has decided to surrender himself to the cops. As he reaches for his phone to call his brother, the imposter vigilante suddenly appears, knocking him to the floor. While Ji-young is exiting the premises, the imposter hurls Sundu out of the window, leading to his demise. Police officers gather around the lifeless body, and reporters prepare to broadcast another tragic event. Still perplexed, Ji-young witnesses the fake vigilante fleeing the hospital. Observing the man escape in an ambulance, Ji-young catches up, entering the vehicle to unravel the mysteries surrounding this mysterious vigilante. Driving the ambulance to the rooftop parking, the killer praises Ji-young's actions, expressing admiration for his work. He discloses his role in erasing Ji-young's traces, ensuring the police can't track him down. In fact, he is the one who tampered with the CCTV cameras. He proposes becoming Ji-young's sidekick, aiming to assist in catching bigger prey. However, Ji-young sees him as a ruthless murderer who is unwilling to give his victims a chance to repent. A clash erupts, and surprisingly, the imposter vigilante proves to be as tough as Ji-young. Ji-young shares his vigilantism philosophy with the imposter vigilante, admitting that he fills the gaps where the law falls short. However, he points out that the fake vigilante has damaged his reputation. Their struggle persists until the imposter is left suspended against the wall. He pleads for Ji-young's help, even offering to unveil his identity by removing his mask. Defying the plea, Ji-young instructs the man to find his own path and then departs the scene. Meanwhile, Jo-hyun diligently sifts through the information of the hospital staff. Mi-ryo has a video of Ji-young, but his face remains hidden. While Ji-young tends to his wounds, he receives a message from the fake vigilante, offering to be his alibi. However, Ji-young's response remains unchanged. The next day unveils the identity of the imposter vigilante. Jo Ganguk, the vice chairman of DK Group and the primary sponsor of the broadcasting station, where Mi-ryo works. Learning that Mi-ryo possesses a video of Ji-young, Ganguk swiftly heads to the broadcasting station. He proposes sponsorship to allow Mi-ryo to discuss vigilante in her articles freely, but she refuses to be under anyone's control. Getting straight to the point, Ganguk expresses his admiration for the vigilante. In line with this, he seizes the USB to eliminate any evidence of vigilante. Simultaneously, the police meticulously examine the evidence collected at the hospital. Noticing signs of careful planning and a keen understanding of the police investigation direction, Jo-hyun begins to suspect a potential connection between the vigilante and the police force. To share the investigation details with Jun-yob, Jo-hyun visits the police academy, where he crosses paths with Ji-young. Briefly recalling his encounter with the vigilante, Jo-hyun dismisses his suspicions. In a meeting with Jun-yob, both share the belief that the vigilante might be a police officer, discussing their theory. Post-meeting, Jo-hyun departs from the police academy, with Ji-young observing him from a distance. Later, Jo-hyun heads to a restaurant to review the CCTV footage, only to discover that someone has already checked the videos. Realizing it was Sanda's brother, Sunil, Jo-hyun tracks him down to his location and confronts his gang. Engaging in a brawl, the goons unite to defend their boss, but Jo-hyun effortlessly defeats them all. Sunil locks the security gate, prompting another attack on Jo-hyun. However, with astonishing strength, Jo-hyun subdues the men quickly, sending them to the floor. Demonstrating his formidable power, he breaks the security gate and faces Sunil. He warns him against conducting his own investigation, otherwise, he will have to face the consequences. In the midst of a class, Professor Jun-yob inquires about the injuries on Ji-young's face. Ji-young attributes the wounds to a practice session with his gym teacher, Before Junyob delves further into the story, a police officer arrives, seeking Ji-young. Accompanying the officer is a girl who expresses gratitude to Ji-young for assisting her the previous night when she faced harassment from some intoxicated man. At first, Ji-young is a bit confused, but realizing that it might be help from Ganguk, he decides to go along with the scenario. When questioned about his fabricated story regarding the injuries, Ji-young explains that he believed a scuffle between a police university student and a civilian could pose problems. It dawns on Ji-young that he might require Ganguk's support in his journey. The following day, Ryo pays a visit to her friend, D-seek, in his office. When inquired about a company called Seawolf Future Resources, D-seek discloses its involvement in various domains, including running the largest illegal gambling site in Korea and engaging in drug dealing. It comes to light that Do-yeep, the drug dealer Ji-young eliminated, was associated with this company. Furthermore, Kim Sam-do, the company's owner, is notorious for his criminal activities and recently escaped charges despite compelling evidence. D-seek proposes that Ryo accompany him to meet an actor named Yoon Jae-hak, who claims to have information about Seawolf Company. Upon reaching the actor's residence, they are met with shock as they discover Yoon Jae-hak hanging from a rope. The duo attempts to convince the police that it was a murder, but with a suicide note found near the body, their claims are dismissed. They are instructed to leave the police station. Frustrated, Ryo questions D-seek about the possible location of the evidence. D-seek discloses that the actor changed the meeting location at the last minute, hinting that the evidence might still be there. Meanwhile, Ji-young contacts Ganguk, arranging a meeting near the bus terminal. Upon arrival, the girl sent by Ganguk leads Ji-young to a meeting spot. However, it becomes apparent that Jo-hyun is keeping an eye on Ji-young. After the girl departs, Jo-hyun approaches Ji-young, introducing himself as the head of the team investigating the vigilante. It becomes apparent that Jo-hyun harbors suspicions about Ji-young being the vigilante. He issues a warning, advising Ji-young to cease his vigilantism. Jo-hyun's strategy is not to arrest the vigilante but to stop him. It is because arresting him might turn the vigilante into a sympathetic figure. He can gain public support, transforming him into a hero. Later, Ji-young contacts Ganguk and orders him to clone Jo-hyun's phone, saying that he will then think of working with Ganguk. Simultaneously, D-seek and Ryo head to the location specified by the actor for their meeting. Surprisingly, it turns out to be a container housing Seawolf's illegal servers. To gather evidence, Ryo records the computers, uncovering traces of QQ coin mining. Just then, an unknown person enters the container, having spotted D-seek and Ryo's car outside. While Ryo hides under the table, the man discovers her. D-seek intervenes, grabbing the intruder from behind. In a courageous effort to protect Ryo, D-seek succumbs to multiple stab wounds, sacrificing himself to buy her time for escape. Just as the assailant tries to catch her again, she successfully manages to escape from the area. Later that night, she returns with the police, but to her astonishment, the container is empty. There is not a single trace of the computers or D-seek's body. Meanwhile, Jo-hyun receives a call from Chief Superintendent General Eom Jae-hyub, the individual who assigned him the task of catching the vigilante. Eom Jae-hyub directs Jo-hyun to put an end to the vigilantism, emphasizing that realignment is approaching and he doesn't want the ongoing situation to hinder his progress. Meanwhile, Ryo's news channel airs another episode, exposing the Seawolf Company's illicit activities. The report discloses that Seawolf's chairman, Sam-do, orchestrated a staggering 800 billion illegal cryptocurrency exchange using QQ coin, as evidenced by traces found in the container Ryo visited. The broadcast includes screenshots of chats with the actor who unveiled Chief Superintendent General Eom Jae-hyub's involvement in supporting Seawolf. Jae-hyub's involvement is confirmed when he is seen conversing with Sam-do, strategizing their next moves. The perpetrator behind D-seek's murder is revealed to be Mr. Bang, frequently employed by Sam-do for unlawful activities. Instructed to abduct Ryo, Mr. Bang sends a man to her office building to carry out the task. The assailant tosses Ryo into his vehicle. However, before he can drive away, Jo-hyun arrives and delivers a powerful slap, rendering him unconscious. Jo-hyun then advises Ryo against providing vigilante with more prey, like in the Seawolf case. Ryo, however, rejects his advice, prompting Jo-hyun to warn her of the consequences. The man who assaulted Ryo regains consciousness in Jo-hyun's car. He attempts to resist, but a swift punch from Jo-hyun forces him to realize surrender is his only viable option. Questioned by Jo Hyun, the man divulges how Sam-doo utilizes Mr. Bang's services for various tasks, including the abduction of Mi-ryo, which he was assigned to carry out by Mr. Bang. Now, Jo Hyun is en route to the location the man recently visited, discovering it to be a farm owned by Sam-doo. It is the place where he carries out his heinous acts. Jo Hyun retrieves his shield from the car and engages in a fierce confrontation with Sam-doo's men. Utilizing his remarkable strength, Jo Hyun systematically takes down each opponent. Armed with a big trophy, he delivers powerful blows while shielding himself. Before long, he successfully incapacitates all the men in his path. Shortly after, the police arrive at the scene, uncovering dozens of bodies, some being consumed by pigs. Instead of exposing Sam-doo's activities, Jo Hyun decides to manipulate the situation, framing the men at the farm as the vigilantes. The police depict Sam-doo's farm as the vigilante murder factory, even falsely claiming to have discovered the DNA of vigilantes' victims. To debunk the police's fabricated narrative, Ji-young shadows his next target, one of Sam-doo's associates named Junsik. He is a drug offender with 3 prior sexual assault charges. As Junsik is on the verge of assaulting another woman, Ji-young intervenes, attacking him from behind and knocking him to the ground. After subduing Junsik, Ji-young steals a diary containing crucial information about Sam-doo. Later, news channels broadcast the recent incident, portraying Junsik's demise as the work of vigilante. The broadcasts reveal a message left at the crime scene, exposing the false narrative crafted by Jo Hyun. This incident threw a wrench into Jo Hyun's plans, leaving him enraged. On the flip side, Mi-ryo finds herself in a good mood after getting fired by her boss. He accused her of painting a criminal organization as heroes by calling them vigilante. However, with Vigilante's recent appearance, Mi-ryo felt vindicated, proving she was right all along. Upon returning home, Ji-young encounters Jo Hyun, who follows him until they reach a bridge. Although Ji-young manages to slip away temporarily, Jo Hyun eventually catches up. He urges Ji-young to abandon vigilantism, offering to guide him out of the mess. Unwilling to comply, Ji-young asserts that Jo Hyun follows someone else's orders and handles his cases unofficially. Ji-young questions why he should follow a man like that. A scuffle ensues, with Jo Hyun effortlessly overpowering Ji-young, considering him no real threat. Urging Ji-young to cease his vigilantism, Jo Hyun insists that the police will handle the aftermath of the mess he's created. He emphasizes that Ji-young has crossed a line by taking the law into his own hands. Despite the severe beating, Ji-young remains resolute. He refuses to abandon his duty to aid the vulnerable in their struggle against the intimidating and oppressive legal system. Growing frustrated with Ji-young's persistence, Jo Hyun reaches a breaking point. He decides to put an end to Ji-young's life to stop what he perceives as insanity. Ji-young breaks free and proposes a deal to Jo Hyun. He suggests that if Jo Hyun can demonstrate that the law is still effective by bringing justice to Sam-doo and General Jae-hyub, he will join forces with him. However, if Jo Hyun fails to punish the duo for their crimes, Ji-young will take matters into his own hands to stop their illegal activities. The next day, General Jae-hyub calls Jo Hyun and instructs him to step down as the head of the investigation. When Jo Hyun questions whether it's related to the Sewell case, General Jae-hyub advises him to disregard media speculation and resign from his position immediately. This raises suspicions for Jo Hyun, sensing something fishy. Meanwhile, Ji-young assigns Gangdok the task of setting up a studio for Mi-ryo. The goal is to provide her with a platform to openly discuss vigilante and expose Sam-doo and General Jae-hyub. When Mi-ryo questions Gangdok's motive, Gangdok explains that his aim is to find the vigilante. When asked about her next move, Mi-ryo discloses her plan to expose Sam-doo's actions, forcing government agencies to launch an investigation. Gangdok supports Mi-ryo, emphasizing that they are on the same side. Mi-ryo kicks off her show, rallying the public to stand by her in the battle against Sam-doo and General Jae-hyub. She emphatically states that she won't take her own life, and if she meets an untimely end, it's a result of a murder. Using her platform, she reveals that the true vigilante is actively combating these criminals. General Jae-hyub becomes enraged as the tide appears to be turning against him due to her broadcast. Nam Yong-gil takes over as the new team leader tasked with apprehending the vigilante. Upon his arrival, he swiftly disbands the existing team. Meanwhile, Ji-young delves into the diary he acquired while eliminating Junsik. Shockingly, it reveals that Pastor Shin of My TM Church is involved in money laundering and managing funds for Samdu and Jaehyub. Ji-young catches one of Samdu's associates in the act of exchanging currency between foreign accounts and launches a surprise attack, rendering him unconscious. He seizes a USB drive containing evidence of Pastor Shin's involvement in money laundering for Samdu and Jaehyub. In the midst of this, Ji-young notices Gangduk outside the window. Upon investigation, Gangduk starts sprinting away from him, prompting Ji-young to give chase. Ji-young catches up with Gangduk, and when questioned about his impromptu escape, Gangduk confesses that he finds it thrilling. Ji-young is now willing to collaborate. He instructs Gangduk to reveal his face. Following the orders, Gangduk unveils himself to Ji-young, who then entrusts him with the stolen USB to deliver to Mirio. The strategy is to eliminate Pastor Shin and have Mirio expose the USB's content, creating a public uproar. Leveraging their financial and political connections, the culprits will likely be acquitted. This sets the stage for Ji-young to target Samdu and expose the evidence. Expressing concern, Gangduk warns that going after Samdu might result in Ji-young's demise. Nevertheless, Ji-young maintains that it wouldn't be a regrettable conclusion to his journey. Ji-young storms into Pastor Shin's office, swiftly disabling his guards. Despite Pastor Shin's attempt to flee, Ji-young catches up, and in a grim turn, strangles him to death. The news quickly spreads, attributing Pastor Shin's demise to the vigilante. The religious community was left in shock, but Ji-young had foreseen this development. Now, they moved to the second phase of their plan, delivering the evidence against Pastor Shin to Mirio. Aware that he could be the next target, General Jaehyub urgently contacts Samdu. Samdu, remaining composed, unveils his countermove, a strategy involving the elimination of Mirio, Jo Hyun, and the vigilante to sweep away the entire mess. Gangduk hands over the USB to Mirio, claiming that he has his own investigation team dedicated to collecting evidence. As Mirio goes online to expose the truth about Pastor Shin, we catch a glimpse of Mr. Bang and his right-hand man en route, ready to take action. Meanwhile, Jo Hyun rushes to Mirio's office, interrupting her broadcast. He cautions her against glorifying the vigilante solely for ratings, warning that she's inviting trouble and potential danger. Despite Jo Hyun's stern advice, Mirio appears undeterred and resolute in pursuing her objectives. As Jo Hyun exits the building, he is ambushed by Mr. Bang, who attempts to stab him with a knife. After deflecting the initial attack, Jo Hyun retaliates by tossing Mr. Bang into the front seat, unleashing a barrage of punches. In the midst of their confrontation, Mr. Bang manages to escape the car. Just as Jo Hyun is about to apprehend him, he's blindsided by Mr. Bang's formidable right-hand man, who proves to be as robust as Jo Hyun himself. Thrown against the car's door, Jo Hyun engages in a fierce struggle, temporarily gaining the upper hand. However, Mr. Bang intervenes at a crucial moment, enabling the big guy to rise and launch another assault on Jo Hyun. While being restrained by Mr. Bang's right hand, Jo Hyun endures a stabbing from Mr. Bang in the abdomen, sending waves of intense pain through him. Despite the agony, Jo Hyun summons enough strength to bring down both assailants. However, the extensive bleeding takes its toll, leaving him unable to continue the fight. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Ji-young appears and engages Mr. Bang in combat, forcing the assailant to escape. Jo Hyun's life is saved, thanks to the vigilante. Even though Ji-young slipped away unnoticed, security cameras captured him in action, taking on the goons and aiding Jo Hyun. News of the incident reaches Gangduk, prompting him to question Ji-young's motives for saving Jo Hyun. Ji-young, however, discloses his true agenda. He intends to turn Jo Hyun into a vigilante. Meanwhile, Samdu directs his frustration at Mr. Bang for the failed murder attempt on Jo Hyun. Mr. Bang firmly tells him to back off, saying he will handle things his way. Simultaneously, Samdu's henchmen work on extracting the private keys of the QQ coin from the server. Their focus is disrupted when smoke envelopes the building. Amid the chaos, Ji-young emerges from the fire, launching an attack on the two men. Seizing the opportunity, he grabs the private keys and exits the building just as the flames consume the office. He then proceeds to leave a bag brimming with money outside an orphanage. It turns out that he has written a message in Samdu's office, stating, "I've got the private keys. I plan to sell the QQ coin and donate the money. Before I make the donations, Samdu, Jaehyub, and the hitmen should surrender." Mirio broadcasts this revelation on her channel, presenting compelling evidence of Samdu's entanglement in money laundering. Previously lacking evidence, Government agencies now have grounds to arrest and probe Samdu. Samdu confronts Jae-hyub at his residence, leveraging knowledge of the QQ coin's intended use for political funds. Feeling the pressure, Jae-hyub offers a deal to ease Samdu's situation, a 6-month jail term. He believes this is the only way he can distance himself from the public eye. Frustrated and angered, Samdu vents his displeasure at his right-hand man for failing to apprehend the vigilante and prevent Mirai from exposing their activities. Meanwhile, Mr. Bang takes matters into his own hands, orchestrating the murder of the orphanage owner. He cleverly stages it to appear as the vigilante's handiwork. The media and the police, however, perceive it as the deed of a vengeful criminal organization targeting the vigilante. Recognizing the urgency to prevent more innocent casualties, Ji-young reaches out to Gangduk during the night. Despite being aware of Samdu's ploy to draw out the vigilante, Ji-young feels compelled to act before more lives are at risk. He specifically directs Gangduk to keep a vigilant eye on Mirai, understanding that her life is now in jeopardy. As anticipated, Samdu's right-hand man and his crew gather outside Mirai's building with sinister intentions. Sensing the imminent threat through the CCTV camera, Mirai swiftly installs smaller cameras in her studio, capturing the unfolding attack. Going live online, she updates the public on the dire situation. Spotting the surveillance devices, the assailants systematically dismantle them, initiating a destructive rampage. Despite their efforts to locate Mirai, she manages to keep the public informed. Unfortunately, they eventually find her and destroy her phone, stopping the live stream. However, before they can abduct her, Gangduk intervenes just in the nick of time. Armed with a baseball bat, he takes on the assailants, successfully failing their attempt to harm Mirai. Upon witnessing the live stream, Nam Yongdil and his team rush to Mirai's studio, only to discover it empty. To their surprise, Mirai is sitting there as if nothing happened. Taking her to the police station, they inquire about her miraculous escape from the perilous situation. Opting not to disclose Gangduk's identity, Mirai suggests that someone must have come to her aid upon seeing the live broadcast. Mirai heads back from the police station and decides to relax with a refreshing bath. In the midst of this, the lights unexpectedly go out, suggesting an unwelcome presence in her apartment. Meanwhile, at the police academy, Nam Yongdil arrives for a conversation with Ji-young. He's under suspicion for leaving the academy on the night of Mirai's attack. Adding weight to this suspicion is the discovery that the phone used to sell cryptocurrency was activated at the school. Later, Ji-young sets off to meet Gangduk. Simultaneously, Officer Nam Yongdil conducts research at the police academy, and Ji-young discovers about it from a friend. Soon, Officer Inchan informs Nam Yongdil that the forensic report on the phone's location has arrived. Following the lead, they find the location pointing to President Jae-hyub's office. It turns out Ji-young was the one who activated the phone in Jae-hyub's office, leaving it there to divert suspicion onto the president. In the search, Ji-young also discovered a burner phone Jae-hyub used to contact Samdu. Nam Yongdil arrives, locating both phones. Jae-hyub confronts them, angered by the search in his office. After advising Jae-hyub to confess before the forensic reports are out, Nam Yongdil leaves the office. It prompts Jae-hyub to take drastic measures to avoid getting exposed. On his way to the forensic office, Nam Yongdil's car collides with a truck, leading to his tragic demise. Meanwhile, Jo-hyun, on the path to recovery, learns about his colleague's death. Meanwhile, Ji-young receives the news and is deeply shocked. That night, Jo-hyun approaches him. Ji-young confides in him, disclosing that he led Officer Nam Yongdil to the evidence against Jae-hyub. Fueled by anger over the death of an honest police officer, Ji-young expresses his determination to take matters into his own hands. He declares his intent to bring justice by personally dealing with all those responsible for the tragic incident, as he believes the system has failed in doing so. On the other side, it comes to light that Mr. Bang has kidnapped Mirai under Jae-hyub's orders. He's subjecting her to torture in an attempt to extract information about the vigilante. Despite the pain, Mirai remains strong, refusing to reveal the truth. Meanwhile, Gangduk visits Mirai's place and discovers her abduction. He promptly informs Ji-young, and they collaborate on strategizing their next moves. The vigilantes head to Samdu's office, taking on his men with force. Observing a goon in conversation with Samdu, Ji-young intervenes, forcing him to read a message. Ji-young proposes a deal. In exchange for Mirai's release, he's willing to return the private keys of the QQ coins he stole. Upon learning this, Samdu contacts Mr. Bang, offering him a payment 5 times greater than Jae-hyub's in exchange for Mirio. Initially resistant, Mr. Bang changes his mind upon discovering that Ji-young is coming to rescue Mirio. Fueled by a desire for revenge after their earlier confrontation, he agrees to the deal. Sam-doo, on the other hand, instructs his right-hand man to assemble all his men so they can kill everyone involved: Mirio, Mr. Bang, and the vigilante. Later that night, Ji-young's friend, Seon-wook, approaches him, expressing concern about Ji-young's recent absence from classes. Though suspecting something is amiss, Seon-wook refrains from pressing Ji-young for details. Before leaving, Seon-wook advises Ji-young to prioritize attending school. Meanwhile, Jo-hyun, fueled by the determination to avenge Yeongil's death, prepares captured members of Sam-doo's gang for the impending battle. The next morning, Sam-doo heads to the stadium as instructed by Ji-young, while Mr. Bang releases Mirio to bring her to the same location for the exchange. Sam-doo's men arrive and forcefully clear the area, their focus fixed on the CCTV cameras to spot the vigilante upon his arrival. They eventually notice a man in a black hoodie entering the stadium. However, more individuals dressed in black follow suit. It turns out that Gangduk, using his influence as a businessman, has organized a themed concert with everyone dressed in black. Surprisingly, Seon-wook is among the audience. Mr. Bang arrives and decides to stay true to the promise he made. Sam-doo's men enter the stadium, while Mr. Bang's right-hand man, Sodal, blends in with the crowd to carry out the exchange involving Mirio and the private keys. Spotting Ji-young, he gives chase but fails to find him in the sea of people. Seizing the opportunity, Ji-young takes Mirio's hand and swiftly leads her away from the bustling crowd. As Sodal tails the duo, Gangduk strategically appears before Sam-doo, diverting the attention of his men. Leading them away, Gangduk allows Ji-young to hide behind a car, where he instructs Mirio to start a live stream. Amidst Mirio initiating the live broadcast, a brawl ensues between Sodal and Ji-young. Meanwhile, Jo-hyun, catching wind of the live stream during his workout, rushes to the stadium with the captured Sam-doo's men. Chaos unfolds in the stadium as Sam-doo commands his men to eliminate everyone, including Mr. Bang, Gangduk, Mirio, and the vigilante. Gangduk engages in ground-level combat while Ji-young, atop a bus, confronts the assailants. Mirio captures the entire spectacle on her live stream. Learning about the unfolding situation, Jae-hyub's superior, the chairman, who was behind it all, strictly orders Jae-hyub to put an end to the chaos immediately. Amid the intense fight, as Ji-young faces the risk of capture, Mirio emerges from hiding, drawing the attention away from him. As Sam-doo's men are after Mirio, Ji-young steps in for her protection. Seeking refuge in a bus, they are pursued by Sam-doo's relentless henchmen, determined to kill them. Amidst the chaos, Jo-hyun arrives on the scene and commands everyone to surrender. The situation takes a humorous turn as Mr. Bang is confused to see his men donning police vests. Ignoring Jo-hyun's order, Sam-doo directs his men to kill Jo-hyun. He then shifts his focus to Ji-young, brandishing a knife. As Ji-young finds himself overpowered, an unexpected ally, Seon-wook, arrives on the scene. In the ensuing struggle, Seon-wook gets stabbed by Sam-doo. Ji-young manages to knock Sam-doo down, but before he can take further action, the arrival of police cars causes everyone to disperse. Ji-young pursues Sam-doo, determined to apprehend him. As Sam-doo's men pursue them, Gangduk stops their way, providing Ji-young the chance to continue his pursuit. A confrontation unfolds between Sam-doo, Mr. Bang, and Ji-young. Jo-hyun soon joins the fray, and a chaotic brawl ensues among them. Jo-hyun takes on Mr. Bang, while Ji-young confronts Sam-doo. Suddenly, the door to what appears to be a massive water storage tank is forcefully closed, and Jae-hyub reveals himself. He condemns Sam-doo for his business failures before fatally shooting him. Armed with a gun, Jae-hyub opens fire on the others, forcing them to seek cover. Jae-hyub manipulates the water tank valves, causing the area to flood. Reloading his pistol, he continues firing at Jo-hyun and Ji-young. As the revolver empties, Jo-hyun assists Ji-young in climbing the structure. In a fierce confrontation, Ji-young successfully takes down Jae-hyub on the metal bridge. Overwhelmed with anger, Ji-young unleashes a barrage of relentless punches on Jae-hyub. However, Jo-hyun intervenes, reminding Ji-young that their job is done and the law should take care of Jae-hyub. In a sudden turn of events, Mr. Bang hurls a knife at Ji-young, causing him injury. Subsequently, Jae-hyub seizes a pistol and fires at Jo-hyun, Mr. Bang, and Ji-young, inflicting wounds on all of them. Fed up with Jae-hyub, Jo-hyun decides to take matters into his own hands, delivering a powerful punch to Jae-hyub's face and then suffocating him to death. Amid the chaos, Mr. Bang attempts to attack Jo-hyun, but Ji-young intervenes, fatally stabbing Mr. Bang in the chest. The aftermath of the intense fight transforms the location into a scene swarmed with police and media. Later, Mi-ryo is summoned for questioning. During the interrogation, she discloses that Seo-wook, who was killed, was the vigilante. She chooses not to divulge the real name behind this vigilantism. The next day, Gangdek regains consciousness in his bed, receiving treatment. Surprisingly, it's revealed that his right hand looked after him and Ji-young, and took care of deleting all the CCTV footage. Meanwhile, Ji-young grieves the loss of his close friend, Sin-wook. Later on, in a conversation with Jo-hyun, Mi-ryo reveals how her dad faced an unjust accusation leading to his death. Shockingly, nobody stepped forward to help, even when aware of the truth. This heartbreaking incident compelled Mi-ryo to rally behind the vigilante, who became a symbol of hope for her, someone willing to stand up for the powerless. Yet, as she witnesses Ji-young mourning his friend, she is unsure if he is up to being the vigilante anymore. However, as the drama unfolds, we see the flames of vigilantism burning even brighter in Jo-hyun's eyes. He's more determined than ever to expose the chairman, the mastermind behind it all.